Hi everybody and welcome. I am so glad that you're here. Today's gonna be a really awesome video because we're gonna be sharing one of my favorite recipes and it's really easy. So let's get our little notepad because you know that I have my crazy old notepad full of little recipes and this is a really good one. So I only share with you guys the really good ones and we have Thanksgiving coming. So this is perfect now for Thanksgiving, anybody that is doing their last minute Thanksgiving recipes. So all you're gonna be needing is cornmeal. You need 1 cup of cornmeal, so get it right going. 1 cup of all-purpose flour, half a cup of sugar. I'm putting half a cup of sugar, but you can also substitute with just honey. I have done it before with honey and it's so delicious. So if you don't have sugar, you can do it then with the honey. If not, you can also do it with your brown sugar. You can also do it then with Splenda, whatever you want. And the actual recipe calls for a quarter of sugar. But because I'm very, that I like stuff that have a little bit of more sugar in it, I put half a cup. For whatever 1 cup of the flour and 1 cup of the cornmeal, then half a cup of the sugar. But you guys, my beautiful people, change it to wherever you want. The actual recipe is 1/4. Yali's recipe, half a cup. So putting half a cup of sugar and then 1 tablespoon of also baking powder. So 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Again, this is Jolly's modification. 1 teaspoon of salt and then 1 cup of milk, 1 egg, and a 1/4 cup of oil. For the oil, you can use either vegetable oil, you can use butter, you can also use manteca, which is what I'm using now in here. So it's like that Crisco that we use for baking. Or you can use also olive oil, which I have done it also with olive oil and it's delicious. But that's really good for like eating just with butter. Like when you finish your cornbread and you then dip it in a little bit of hot melted butter, it tastes just fantastic. So if you want to have a little bit flavor that can go more with your rice and your pasta and stuff like that that you're cooking at home, then you can cook it with vegetable oil and I guarantee you it will taste really good. But because I want to do it more like tasting more sweet without the vegetable oil flavor, then I'm doing it with manteca, which is more like for baking stuff. So let's get this party going. Literally it's just mixing everything up. So let's do that. Here we go. We have our 1 cup of the cornmeal, which I'm actually doing double because I want to have a lot for a lot of people. So 2 cups. But remember, it's what we mentioned. I'm just doubling in my case. 1 cup of the flour. In my case, I'm doubling it, so I'm putting 2 cups in here. I said half a cup of the sugar because I'm doubling it, so I'm putting then 1 cup of the sugar. I mentioned also to have then 1 tablespoon of the baking powder. So because I'm doubling it for the recipe, so I'm putting then 2 tablespoons. I recommend to first mix all the dry ingredients first and then add to the dry ingredients all the wet ingredients. It's better if everything just mixes up quickly. While we're mixing everything up over here, let's also then put our oven, preheat the oven to 400 degrees. So preheat the oven to 400 degrees so that it's ready by the time that we're done. And then we need 1 teaspoon of salt. This is optional, you can just omit it. But I do like that little mix of a little bit of salt and a little bit of also sugar. So 1 teaspoon of salt. We're gonna start mixing now all of our dry ingredients, which were our flour, our cornmeal, our sugar, and our salt. That's it. And also our baking powder. Mixing it all. Okay, we did all of our dry ingredients. We mixed it up. So now let's add up all of those wet ingredients. So let's start now with our milk. It was 1 cup of milk, but again, I'm duplicating it because I want lots of people to eat. Because of course I eat a lot of it. So 2 cups for my case, but it's 1 cup of milk for the recipe. If you're using 1 cup of the cornmeal. As you are adding, every time that you add one, then mix it up. That way it's not gonna be too hard. So we just added the milk we're gonna be mixing it up. Now that it has been mixed a little bit, we're gonna add now our eggs. It's 1 egg for the recipe. Now we just need to add our manteca, which will be then your oil. It's 1/4 cup of oil. And now mix it up. We are almost done. We finished already with the recipe of mixing it all together, which is really easy. And now we're gonna then put it in our mold. As we said, we preheat the oven for 400 degrees. Now that it's almost set to 400 degrees, we're gonna put now our mix in the mold. If you're making cupcakes, because you can use this the same recipe, instead of making the bread, it's ready. Instead of making the bread, you make then the cupcakes, and you can have it in the oven then for 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm gonna do a few of the cupcakes, and then also, if you're doing the bread, then just use the mold that you're gonna be using and have it then for 20 to 25 minutes. So I'm gonna then set it for 20 minutes, 400 degrees for 20 minutes, but I'm gonna keep an eye on it, because if I see that they start getting a golden brown in the top for our cupcakes and they're ready, and should take it then out. So let's start doing this. First, this one over here. It is so satisfying to do that. And now let's start doing this over here. Okay, here we go. Okay, it's ready. I just checked it out, and it has not been the 20 minutes, only 15 minutes, but it's ready. If you see that they look already ready, and I just put a little, knife in it, and it came out completely dry, so it should be good. So we're gonna take it out. We're gonna let it cool down, and after letting it cool down a little bit, then we're gonna put it in our plate, and you can eat this with jam. We did a homemade fig jam, which I haven't shown you guys because this year, that I took a little break during our summer season, but our fig tree was full of so many figs. It was amazing. So hopefully next year, again, during the summer, I can then record then our turkey fig, because it's such an amazing blessing. And I learned to do my jam. So I did actually did that homemade organic jam from our own backyard. So yeah, I think that we're gonna be using that also for dipping some of this. Plus also you can use just plain butter, and as I mentioned, also honey, which if you wanna make like a really cool honey, you can just take a crystal bowl with then your honey and mix it up with butter, and then that mix of honey with butter and a sprinkle of sugar, put it in the microwave for a few seconds, and then that's a really cool glaze for people to also dip in it. And if you want to even make it even better, the same thing that we just mentioned with a little bit of cream cheese added to that. So there's a lot of things that you can do to then have for people to eat with this, or just plain, just have it without nothing for dipping. But yes, cool. We got them out of the oven. We waited for them to actually cool off. Well, I waited enough for them to cool off because I like to eat them when they're a little bit hot. And I also made this mix, as I was telling you guys. You can actually eat them just plain without nothing. You can eat them with butter. You can eat them with jam. You can eat them with honey. You can eat them with whatever you want. But I made this mix, which I put them in these little tiny jars, which is recyclable stuff. I think it was from Pimentos. So all those crystal jars, they come in handy later on. You don't have to be buying any jars. But anyways, I made this with just 4 tablespoons of honey, 4 tablespoons of butter, 4 tablespoons of cream cheese, and then 2 tablespoons of sugar. Melted it in the oven until it was melted good enough. I think it was like a minute. And I would put it 30 seconds, mix it up, 30 seconds, mix it up. And once it was already completely blended pretty well, then that's when I put it then in this cute jars. So what I do is I take a little bit of the, the mix that I created, and I put it then on top of my bread. But as I mentioned, you can do it same mix. You can make the muffins, which we ended up creating a few muffins over here. And also you can create the bread, which we also have the bread over here. And for both of them, in our case, was only just 15 minutes. But again, depending on the oven, it could be then 15 to 20 minutes. It can even go all the way to 25 minutes. So you keep an eye on them. Once you get to that mark of almost 15 minutes, check on the oven and see if they're ready. So what I do is I just literally take a knife, and the knife, you put it in the center while they're in the oven. Put it in the center, and if it comes off clean, then that means that it's done. But if it comes out that it's still, sticky, then you need to keep it there for a few more minutes. So amazing! I hope that you enjoyed it. Let's go ahead and give our little bite before we go. So good. I think this is something that you are all gonna love, and it's a really good recipe that, again, depending on the person, you can just have it plain and just enjoy it without too much sugar and stuff like that. If you want to have it more with, mix of stuff, then you can add to it whatever you want. It's really awesome. I hope that you enjoyed it, that you have an awesome Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to every single one of you. I love you all so much. Thank you for being part of our amazingly kind community. Thank you for allowing me to grow in this platform and to get to know you better. You are all amazing. May you have an amazing day. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the miracles. I'll see you again next week. Bye.